Hi, I'm Patrick Allen of Patrick Allen Selections, a small importing company dedicated to finding small artisan producers primarily in the south of France. We have Domaine de Trevallon with us here today. Domaine de Trevallon is one of the most highly regarded wineries in the south of France. They're located in the area of Les Baux de Provence, even though they don't produce wines under the appellation of Les Baux de Provence. So Eloi, when he planted his vineyards, decided to plant them half in Syrah and half in Cabernet Sauvignon. So the blend is always approximately 50% Cab and 50% Syrah, which gives the wine its kind of a unique character for the area. Back in the late 1980s, early 1990s, they changed the rules of the appellation to allow only 1/3 of Cabernet Sauvignon in the blend. So Eloi did not want to change the way he made the wine, so he declassified the wine from a Les Baux de Provence to just a Vin de Pays. So currently, the wine is labeled as a Vin de Pays des Alpes, which is one of the lowest levels of French winemaking, but it allows him the latitude to do what he wants to do, make fine wine. Each year, the winery always releases a current vintage and a library selection, and one of the hallmarks of Domaine de Trevallon is the wines tend to age beautifully. In my opinion, that combination of Syrah and Cabernet Sauvignon gives you these almost honeyed, deep cherry notes that are almost reminiscent of Bordeaux, but they still have the character of the south of France, that little bit of spice and a little bit of wildness you expect from the south of France. The owner and winemaker Eloi Durbach was studying architecture back in the 1970s when he decided he didn't want to have anything to do with architecture anymore. He wanted to make wine. And he built vineyards, or literally blasted these vineyards out of hillsides that they had in the estate. So Eloi has never used chemicals in his vineyards as long as he's been farming, even though he's not certified organic. And chemicals have never been used on this land because there's nothing planted there ever before. After the grapes are picked, they're crushed and then aged in large oak foudre that are as tall as I am, about 6 feet tall barrels. And they're aged for almost 2 years in barrel before being bottled. How Eloi, his family, came to own the estate is actually very interesting. His father, as I said earlier, was a famous Cubist sculptor and painter. He was also close friends with Pablo Picasso. Well, early on, Pablo Picasso approached René Durbach, Eloi's father, knowing that his wife was a weaver. And he asked them if they could produce 2 tapestries of his famous painting Guernica. The Rockefellers wanted one for the UN and one for themselves. René spoke with his wife and said, sure, we can do this. So they created these 2 giant tapestries. One is still hanging in the UN, of Guernica. And with the money they got from these 2 tapestries, they were able to buy this estate, and now that's been in their family for 2 generations. Towards the end of his life, René was sick in bed and bored out of his mind. So Eloi had, coincidentally, a stack of posters printed up with the label. And previously, the label was always just plain white with the name Domaine de Trevallon. So Eloi gave his father the stack of those posters and went to the store and bought some colored pencils. And over the course of a couple months, his father drew about 70 or 80 different labels for Eloi, and each year they choose a different label they find in some way representative of the vintage, and each year the wine has a different label created by René Durbach, Eloi's father. So this is one of my favorite wineries from the region. I hope you enjoy it as well.